Hello, I'm Askar Sharlif and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. An attempt of court bailiffs to evict a former employee of the parliament's administration from her apartment ended with a violent attack against reporters who were present at the scene to cover the situation. Find out what happened exactly from the next report.
The reporter of the Almaty's 31st channel, Juldis Toleo, and her cameraman, Bauzhan Smagulov, were beaten by bailiffs for attempting to cover the eviction of a lonely woman. We were trying to stop them from taking away the camera and beating the cameraman. We managed to record it. Then they demanded to give them the tape. Bailiffs took away reporters' IDs, tore apart Toleo's jacket and attempted to seize the tape. Only the involvement of the activists of the public movement for worthy living saved reporters from severe beating. They were openly provoking me for a conflict and blamed me for initiating the violence. Then they twisted my arms behind my back and took me away from the apartment. I told them that as a journalist, I have the right to report about the situation, to which the officers replied that I do not have any rights and that the power is in their hands. Unfortunately, it is impossible to find out the reasons of the bailiff's aggression, as they locked the apartment from inside and stayed there with the evictee. Aktoky Tasip is a single woman with a baby who was recently fired from the economic administration of the Kazakh parliament. Tasip took a maternity leave and considers her dismissal and eviction illegal. How dare you hit reporters? Who are you? The district police officer was unable to perform his duties and left, while the reporters are going to bring this incident to the public's attention. They promise to prosecute the violators and continue covering the situation with a single mother.
This scandal occurs at a time when media representatives are actively discussing the recently issued warning to all Kazakh dissidents. The newspaper Respublika received an anonymous letter whose author stated that Kazakh authorities intend to use any possible means to bring order in the country before the 70th anniversary of the president. The legitimacy of these claims is questionable, but here is another news from yesterday. Igor Lara, a reporter of the newspaper Svoboda Slova, was brutally beaten near his own home in Aktobe. Just recently, he was covering the strike of oil field workers in Zhanaozen, as well as the problems associated with Kazakh and foreign oil producers. The staff of the independent publication has no doubt that the incident is linked to the professional activity of the reporter. The newspaper has already filed a statement to the police, while the journalist is being treated at home for extensive bruises to his head and face. According to Lara, he was approached by 3 strangers who asked for the journalist's name and told him they have greetings from Zhanaozen. Attackers also stole the reporter's voice recorder, cell phone camera and money. Igor just recovered and went to the police department, although he doubts that the attackers will be caught. The situation, however, concerns not only Igor or our newspaper anymore. It already concerns all independent media in Kazakhstan. The force was used against dissidents in Almaty as well. The rally of the unregistered party Alga in support of the former head of Kazatomprom was prevented by law enforcement officials. What is my violation?
You are spreading the leaflets.
Yes, we are. But what is illegal about it?
We are arresting you.
No, I disagree. I'm ready to comply only with lawful demands of the police, and yours are not.
The collection of signatures in support of the convicted Mukhtar Jakishev ended in Almaty before it even started. On Thursday evening, as soon as the activist of the unregistered party Alga, Vladimir Kozlov, appeared with leaflets next to the central department store, he was approached by the law enforcement agents. Please follow the police officers.
I have to comply only with lawful actions of the police.
Policemen are asking you to follow them.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm the district police captain.
Show me your ID, please.
Enough. Please follow us. The confiscated by the police leaflets of the Alga activist contain the biography and achievements of the former head of Kazatomprom, Mukhtar Jakishev. The activist prepared a special leaflet for the police and prosecutors with the explanation of the laws of the freedom of speech and dissemination of information. These documents, however, did not help them. Vladimir Kozlov was forcibly taken to the police car and later to the police station. The reasons for the detention were never explained. Why were these people arrested? I didn't see any arrest. What are you talking about? I have no commands. I told you many times I'm here for private and not professional purposes. After Kozlov, 5 other people were arrested as well, including Mikhail Sizov, Nagashabay Esmurzaev, Bibikul Remkulova, Kenja Adenov and Danil Doktorganov. All of them were taken to the District Internal Affairs Department and held there for an hour and a half before being released. The officer of the Public Security Administration of the Internal Affairs Department, Captain Jasulan Baykenov, who led the operation, refused to comment on the situation.
Now the lawyers of Volga are preparing a complaint to the prosecutor of Almala district. The actions of the police are called unconstitutional and contradicting the basic human rights. Lawyer Aliya Turuzbekova says that no legal or logical explanations for what had happened were ever provided.
None of the policemen could explain the exact reasons for the arrest or what was violated exactly. There was no legitimate reasons for our detention.
To the news in eastern Kazakhstan, where more than 7,000 people were evacuated from the zone of massive floods. Hundreds of houses were destroyed in some villages, while livestock breeders sustained enormous losses due to the death of thousands of head of livestock. The emergency minister Vladimir Bashko arrived to the area to learn about the critical situation firsthand.
The country's emergency minister Vladimir Boshko arrived to the disaster zone of the east of Kazakhstan to personally oversee the rescue operations. For already a week, the region suffers from the spring floods, seeing more than 7,000 local residents evacuated from the area.
The situation is critical. Last year's floods were nothing compared to this year. For already 3 days, the temperature remains minus 18 degrees Celsius, but the river is still very active. I'm afraid Bukhtarma River in the Kurchum district presents a serious threat now.
The situation is worse in the Tarbagatai area. Dozens of villages, hundreds of houses and yards have been flooded there and local bridges destroyed. Luckily, rescuers reported no victims, but the villagers are in despair. According to preliminary data, nearly 12,000 heads of cattle were killed in the emergency zone.
The water level was almost 2 meters. All cows drowned and we have no place to live.
Humanitarian aid cargoes with clothes, medicine and food supply are being sent to the area. Because of the poor weather conditions, the cargoes are delivered using military vehicles. Despite the 5-day-long holidays, people were bringing clothes and food to the collection center. Businessmen of the city contributed quite actively. Supplies for the total amount of about $21,000 have been already shipped to the victims. In addition, we have opened a bank account for the collection of money for the aid. 2,000 people and more than 300 units of special equipment are currently working in the disaster areas. Tent camps are being created locally, but the situation is worsened by the poor weather. Many of the region's roads are once again closed, and the authorities have issued a new storm warning.